the cherries. You can use sour cherries. The recipe also calls for dark cherries. They can be from frozen. These are canned. You just want to get this liquid to a boil. Okay, so once it's at a boil, we're gonna add the white sugar and the maple syrup. Sound good?
White sugar, S1.
You're gonna use the S1. Once you've got it doesn't have to be a massive boil, it can be just a small rolling boil. And then as soon as you add your sugar and your maple syrup, you're gonna wanna drop your temperature to 330 on the temperature side. And the heat, you're gonna drop it to a 3 or a 4 setting. Now the reason why you do that is, as soon as you start adding more sugar to the sauce, you're more likely to burn it, right? So we're gonna wanna drop the heat once you've added those sugars in.
I did 330.
So again, what is the heat setting?
So your temperature setting, you're gonna drop it to 330.
330.
And your heat setting can be either at a 3 or a 4.
Okay.
Make sure you're giving a good stir as well. That's
just to keep things moving around.
Yeah, you want to keep everything moving around.
Good job, honey. It smells good.
Okay. And now those are simmering.
You guys can move around too. If you need to dance or anything like that, you can do that while you're cooking. That's cool.
So I think I have mine at 330, and I actually still have my heat at 5, and it's good at 5. So even if you want to keep your heat setting between 3 or 4 and 5, it's fine. It's more the temperature. You want to keep it around 330. And like I said, the reason for that is there's a lot of sugar now in this sauce. You don't want to overkill it. You still have half your water, and you should still have your potato flour. What you're going to do is take your potato flour now and add it to the water. And then take a little fork or a small whisk and just mix it around, basically creating like a little flour water. Now the reason why we do this, it's twofold. You're gonna need this water throughout the recipe, because as your sauce reduces, it needs liquid, right? You wanna make sure that it doesn't get too sticky, that it's still workable. The potato flour actually helps thicken it up and makes it almost velvety and very velvety as well. But by adding it to your water first, you're less likely to get a clump. So if you were to just take that potato flour and add it to your sauce, it might clump up on you.
Is there a professional chef term for this kind of thing?
It's a slurry. It's a slurry.
It's called a slurry.
Now, one thing I love doing is I'm taking the back of my wooden spoon. So you should all have a couple wooden spoons on your station. So once you've added in your sugar, you've added in your maple syrup, you've created your slurry, but you haven't added your slurry in yet, you're gonna wanna take the back of your spoon and start crushing all these cherries. So this does a couple things. It helps speed up the process of them breaking down, but it also helps release a little bit more of that beautiful tart cherry flavor into the syrup that you're making. This is going to reduce now for about 15 minutes, which is exactly what we need. And then just keep an eye, what we'll do is we'll keep an eye on it. If we notice that it's starting to draw out a lot of that liquid, we'll add that potato flour and that potato flour water.
So in addition to Matt having this wonderful cookbook, Brunch Life, he has a company called Fidel Gastro, which was really sort of one of the pioneering food trucks here, if I may say so, here in Toronto. And he has a great restaurant called Lisa Marie on Queen Street as well. So that is a great place to visit.
Which was your son's first brunch spot.
It was also the first time I brought my son, when he was about 6 weeks old. I brought him for brunch. So we are fans. So, and also he has an amazing show that is on Netflix right now, if you guys have Netflix, called Rebel Without a Kitchen as well too. So for that show, you traveled around a fair bit.
Yeah, it was traveled around, followed me around. It's called Follow the Puck, as you know, in the TV days where you're literally just following people around. And we just had such a crazy life that they were just like, that's a show.
That's a show.
That's a show.
That's a show. So it is a show, and you can watch it on Netflix. So, and I have done that. Purchase a fan.
Purchase a fan. Well, that's what's important, right? What do you want to say? Gotta reach
Hey guys, what's up? We're out here cooking. It's going good.
To break them up a bit, you should really start to smell that sour cherry when you're starting. Just keep an eye on it. If you're worried about the temperature, like I said, you can drop the heat setting down to a 3 or a 4. I still have mine at 5, but you still want to actually see those cherries start to break down. Once again, like I said, the easiest way to break it down, use the back of your spoon and just kind of press them up against the side of the pot. And once That cooks down for about 14, 15 minutes.
Okay.
You know, you can then start to add the other ingredients. So once you're at that stage, we're going to start to make our pancake batter. So maybe what we'll do is...
We're just going to like leave
let that simmer.
let it simmer
Let
for
it
a while.
simmer.
Okay. But the slurry's still hanging out.
Slurry's still hanging out. So the slurry will come into play after it's had a chance to reduce, after the cherries have had a chance to break down.
Not yet.
Not yet.
So
Do not put it in
Did
yet.
you make the slurry though? Okay, so just wait a little bit on that. Did anyone put it in already? You did? Okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
So
it's okay.
if you've already put it in, yeah, just pack it up, go home. No. If you've already put it in, just turn the heat down a little more. So what's your heat setting at? You're at, and then that's your temperature setting. Your heat setting is like a 1 to 5 number. So bring it down to a 3. Good?
Perfect.
All right, so what
It's all going to work out.
Yeah, trust me, it's all good. So now, we're going to do the actual pancake batter recipe.
So you guys all have 2 big bowls underneath. Actually, you have another bowl in front of you too, maybe as well.
Yeah, you're going to want to use the biggest bowl to get started.
So again, there's a bowl underneath your station. It's the weekend.
Right.
This is like good comfort food as well too.
You know what? I'm a big fan of brunch anytime.
Anytime, all the time. Okay. We're going to make brunch today, and then everyone's going to eat it afterwards.
This is very
That's
interesting though. Like, what's interesting about this kind of a demo versus others is like, normally you just power through your demos, but here you actually have to like stop and allow people to have the opportunity to learn and see what's going on because they're following along.
Yeah. Because chefs tend to cook really fast, so we're all doing it together this time.
Right on. So everyone has their big bowl. Right, we're going to start. Cool. So we're going to start with pancakes are a combination of both wet and dry ingredients. And when I see people mix it all together in one bowl, I get a little worried because it's going to clump up on you. You're going to have little pockets of flour. So that's why you have the 2 bowls. It's like
Right. Okay. So you do have 2 bowls.
So so we're going to start with our dry ingredients first. So you're going to add your dry flour, and it's just all-purpose flour, to your bowl. Simple, easy peasy so far, right? Right. Then you're gonna have also baking powder and baking soda. Now, these are incredibly important, not for the flavor of the pancake, but for the lightness and the airiness and the fluffiness of the pancake. Those are those activators that when your dough or your pancake batter hits that warm pan, that's when you see it all fluff up on you right in front of you. Another thing I've learned too is people prematurely flip their pancakes all the time. It's a thing. It's a real problem.
That would probably be me because I'm impatient.
Yeah.
So what is it? I mean, we're going to get to.
We're going to get to that, but basically you want to see air bubbles start to come through the pancake. That's when you know it's ready to flip. So
Otherwise, it's a mess.
So you're going to take your baking soda and baking powder.
This is why my husband makes brunch in the house.
Well, I mean, he's the waffle king too, right?
That's true. But yes.
So we have those elements down, and then you're going to have your sugar too. Your sugar too should be kicking around.
Sugar number 2, S2. How's everybody doing? Do we need a recap of ingredients? Yes? Okay. So Matt, let's go through the dry ingredients that we have right now.
So all-purpose flour, baking powder, baking soda, and S2.
Sugar number 2. So we'll give you guys a second to mix all those together.
So like I said, I can't see everyone else's right now, but my cherries are ready for the slurry.
Because
So
I can definitely smell that they're well, I can smell them and they're also really reducing down.
Exactly. So at that point, I'm just going to add my potato flour slurry, and then once you add your slurry, just give that a stir, and then you can even drop the temperature on that even more. The potato flour is what's going to actually turn it into more of a syrup for you, which is what you want.
Okay.
So I've got my heat setting at 3 and my temperature settings at 330.
Heat at 3, temperature 330.
I would not go above 330. I would go either 330 or you can even drop it down 1 lower to 300, and that'll just kind of have it at a much lower simmer. It's funny because we were doing, before I even came up here, I had to like figure out what the ideal temperature buttons were for everybody.
Right.
Because this isn't like when you're at home, you're just like
It's a different thing.
high or low, right?
Yeah.
So you're trying to give people an accurate kind of temperature here to work with. Okay, so we have our dry ingredients off to the side of the one bowl. Everyone, once you're at that phase and when you're feeling good, grab your second large bowl.
Another bowl down there.
So now, keep your bowls close to each other. So side by side is perfect. Keep them right next to each other. Oh, sorry, there's also a small container of cinnamon. You can add your cinnamon. You can add as much or as little cinnamon as you want to the dry bowl. Like, some people find cinnamon a little too smoky for them. If you don't like cinnamon, you don't have to use it. That's the best part about having like an OG recipe in the book, is that you can be like, oh, you know what, that's more of a flavor enhancer than anything. Some people like to add salt to their pancake batter, you know.
Okay, so what would that do for the vegetables?
You're basically balancing out the sweetness. But here's the thing, in a pancake recipe like this, where we're covering it with cream cheese frosting and cherry, you're not even going to notice the salt factors in there.
Okay.
So I recommend, it's not as necessary.
This is going to be one epic stack pancakes.
Okay, so you should all have your second bowl now. We're going to start with our wet ingredients. So the wet ingredients are eggs, 3.25% whole milk in the smaller 250 milliliter container.
Milk there, number 8.
And then there's buttermilk in the larger container.
Your container will be as large as Chef's here, because
That's correct.
he's making a double batch of here. So,
Hang on,
I think you're making a larger batch than everyone down there is.
Alright, so we should,
Oh, because we're making one for Trevor. That's why. Okay, yes. That's what's going on.
so you should have those ingredients there. We're good? Okay. And then someone should be walking around, if they haven't already given you melted butter. Has everyone received some melted butter?
You don't have buttermilk.
So mine isn't melted yet, so I'm gonna actually pre-melt my butter first. But it's good, like, you want the butter melted but not hot, which is, sounds ridiculous, but
So, what's the theory behind putting the cold over the temperature butter?
so I mean, the melted butter it's now the fat that can be released into the entire batter. If you're putting it in there cold, there's no way you're gonna be able to properly, evenly distribute it.
I learned this a little while ago. There's a cookie recipe that is my favorite, and it calls for melted butter. And it makes the best cookies.
Yeah.
And I learned that too, because it's just like everything's really even.
So there's a lot. I've actually hung out with Anna Olson talking cookies.
Oh, well,
and,
you know,
the queen of cookies.
as one does.
As one does.
As one does.
And it's either melted butter or room temperature butter, never cold butter.